Just waiting on people to come in. I'll go ahead and get started. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has told Ethiopians they must be ready to make sacrifices to save the country from rebel forces as the United States ordered non-emergency government employees to leave Ethiopia. The year-long fighting between federal government troops and Tigrayan rebels who are threatening to march on the capital, Addis Ababa, has intensified in recent days. There are sacrifices to be made, but those sacrifices will savage Ethiopia, Abiy said on Twitter on Saturday. We have seen the tests and obstacles, and it made us stronger, he continued, adding, we have more allies than the people who turn their backs on us. Abiy's comments came a day after 9 groups said they would join forces in an alliance built around the Tigray People's Liberation Front, with the moving Abiy's government by force or negotiations. The government has dismissed the coalition formation as a publicity stunt and said most of the groups involved do not have any traction. For us Ethiopians, dying for our sovereignty, unity, and identity is an honor. There is no Ethiopianism without sacrifice, the government's communication service said on Twitter. Meanwhile, the U.S. Embassy in Addis Ababa ordered the departure of its non-essential diplomats on Saturday, a day after advising all U.S. citizens to leave Ethiopia as soon as possible, as have Meanwhile, the U.S. Embassy in Addis Ababa ordered the departure of its non-essential diplomats on Saturday, a day after advising all U.S. citizens to leave Ethiopia as soon as possible, as have several embassies, including those of Saudi Arabia, Sweden, and Norway. Incidents of civil unrest and ethnic violence are occurring without warning. The situation may escalate further and may cause supply chain shortages, communication blackouts, and travel disruptions, the U.S. Embassy said on its website on Saturday. It came after the U.S. Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, Jeffrey Feltman, was seemingly unable to strike a breakthrough in his bid to bring an end to the fighting during a visit this week to Addis Ababa. While regional and international efforts are underway amid calls for an immediate cessation of hostilities and talks for a lasting ceasefire, a diplomatic source told Al Jazeera that Ethiopian government officials and U.S. envoy were unable to agree on a path solving the conflict. The source said Ethiopia rejected Feltman's proposal to hold unconditional negotiations with the rebels as the government considers the TPLF a terrorist group and demands the immediate withdrawal of its fighters from the Amhara region without conditions. Last weekend, the TPLF said it had taken two strategic cities in Amhara, where its fighters had advanced after retaking the Tigray bastion in June. It said on Wednesday it had reached the town of Kamizi in Amhara, 325 kilometers or 200 miles northeast of the capital. The TPLF added it was running joint operations with another rebel group, the Amoro Liberation Army, and indicated it might advance on Addis Ababa. The Tigrayan forces say they are pressuring Ethiopia's government to lift a deadly months-long blockade on the region. Around 6 million people, where basic services have been cut off and humanitarian food and medical aid are denied. If marching to Addis is what it takes to break the siege, we will, the TPLF, spokesperson Getachew Rita. Okay, moving on. A near total eclipse of a blood moon will occur November 19th. It will last 3 hours and 28 minutes, the longest eclipse of this century. 90% of the moon will look red. North America will see it in its entirety. Iran's army is holding a sea, air, and land military drill, which comes shortly after the IRGC and U.S. Navy had a confrontation in the Sea of Oman over a seized oil tanker. You know how that goes. One side says it's the other one's fault, and the other says the same thing about the other side. Iraq's prime minister has survived an assassination attempt after drones laden with explosives targeted his residence in the capital, in an incident that dramatically raised tensions in the country weeks after a general election disputed by Iran-backed militia groups. He escaped unhurt, but security told Reuters that at least 6 members of the prime minister's personal protection forces were wounded. Slow-moving crowd threatens the U.S. Central Plains, which grows a quarter of the nation's crops. Underground, the region's lifeblood water is disappearing, placing one of the world's major food producing regions at risk. The High Plains Aquifer is one of the world's largest groundwater surfaces. We lose our crops up there, we're in a world of trouble, not only for us, but for our people, our other nations that, we outsource to. So what's going to happen there if, we lose all our crops? Not only will there be major food shortages here, but worldwide. I don't know if you have been following this Travis Scott word for it, debacle. I shouldn't really call it that because 8 people did lose their lives, including a 14-year-old child. There are reports of it being a satanic ritual of some sorts from the videos that I've watched today. It would appear so. I'm no religious expert, but you know, you can, in which your eyes can deceive you. But I honestly believe there might be something to it. This week I am going to do some research. I did send some email to Native Voice, who in his 6:30 um, show this morning, was talking about it. But I'm still going to study up and read on it. AJH556, how are you? It's good to see you. But I will do some studying up on it, and maybe later this week do live about it so we can discuss it. Um, but I know for a fact that there is a lot of satanic stuff going on with the music scene now, as well as there's of certain performers being in with the Illuminati. Illuminati. I'm good. Thanks for asking. But this is worrisome. This is what our kids are listening to nowadays. And when I was growing up, I wasn't allowed to listen to certain things. At that time, you know, it upset me because I wasn't allowed to listen to the things that my friends were listening to, even though my parents, was in the church at the time. But as Christians, we definitely need to keep on what our kids are listening to, what they're exposed to, and whatnot. So please be observant. Um, I will update y'all and let y'all know when I'll drop that video. Y'all have a good day. Stay prepped up and prayed up. God bless.